Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Wappelville. I know it's been a little while. There's been one or two things going on this week. So, what do you know? We're going to try something brand new. Actually, a couple of brand new things here. So, you haven't really seen a whole bunch of Space Marines, I think, on the YouTube channel here, and you certainly haven't seen a Primaris Marine yet, because this right here is the first one I've actually tried. There's going to be some other new things out on the palette, never tried before, at least by me, and these are some of the Turbo Dork paints. Now, I do have a couple other co-worship paints out here, but my main focus is really going to be their standard, there we go, metallic paint. There are some fun names, that's for sure. We'll try and get through those as we move along. Look at on the palette here. So we've got, is this the uh, Dubba D, I think. No, actually, this is what was Cool Ranch flavor right there. Then we've got, oh, there we go. Curacao over there. What's this teal green one right here? It looks like I'm gonna take a little time out here to get the old chat thing going here. Let's see what happens here. Do do do. All right. I think what I'm gonna have to do, yeah, I'm just gonna go in here real quick, and we're gonna redo this. So give me one moment here, because the chat is doing its usual thing where it doesn't really want to work. And that's the little box over there. We're going to swing that over here. Get that going. Wait a second. I knew this was going to do this. So just bear with me here. It's a whole lot easier for me to try and keep up with this. If we've got, there we go. Look at that. Magically, it suddenly works. So I'm just going to do my, there we go. Hey, Bethany, how's it going? Oh, we have a Nessie appearance now. Okay, all right, fine. If that's gonna happen, here we go. Yes, that's for you. that's that's. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe we've got the color shift version of the. You know what? I think it's one of these right here. Maybe is lunar eclipse. Could these be brothers from another painting mother? I don't know. We're gonna find out maybe. What's this one here? This is Absinthe. Boom, right there. What's this? This is actually a color shift, I think. Yeah, ice to never. I'm going to find out what that does. Now, there's another thing here. You've seen me use this before, actually. Is metal mediums, right? So that's over here. Basically, that's going to serve as our white. We've got a couple other. This is another color shift potential. Maybe not. No, actually, it's Malum Malus. That's this one right here. Now I got some reference pictures over here. Check these out. Zoom like that. Now that is you've got yourself a typical non-metallic metal effect right there. We're gonna see. Can we do something like this with the metallic paints? Because I don't know. It may not happen. It might happen gloriously. It could fail hideously. I mean, everybody likes watching car wrecks, so maybe that's what this is. But the first thing, this is the usual kind of semi-zenithal priming with the Badger Steinolres right there. Now I'm gonna make my screen a little bit bigger here so I can see what I'm doing. And second, there we go. That's so much better. But hey, Bethany, how is it going? I hope that things are well. I think they're just crazy everywhere. So, except you had way more crazy going on with fires and floods and everything else. Now you're treated to this, and sorry to hear about that. Okay, this is a couple of just regular paints here from Pro Acrylic. You got the transparent blue, and then you got, I think, a blue black over here. And what we are going to do is we're going to mix up ourselves a little glaze here. And we've got ourselves some sponges right here. Because with the metallics, it's going to be easier if we start this out from something that's a little bit, say, more like this, something that's darker. And I may throw more of this out here. And it's going to look ugly and nasty and all kinds of horrible. I might even throw, you know what the heck, we're going to do it. We are going to do it. If I can find my transparent black somewhere here, just give me un momento to find that. And it's purple, brown, Oh, what the heck? We'll just use something like this right here. Now throw this out there just so I've got something. There we go. A little bit of transparent black. Yeah, there we go. And we're just gonna slam this stuff right home. Don't care. You thought the usual shaded base coat was messy? Fire split and so toilet paper crises there too. What's hilarious now? One of my favorite packing materials because we got to ship a lot of miniatures, right? My my favorite packing material, the best packing material ever that I've found over the last 5 years, is toilet paper. So there's a shipping miniatures crisis now. It's not just about well, little self hygiene. Can't ship miniatures anymore because there's no more teepee. No more teepee. Who would have thought such a valuable shipping material would be wasted on like humans? And of course, we always ask ourselves, so if they need that much toilet paper, they must be fixing to eat a lot of Raisin Bran. I mean, hey, that's healthy, right? Nothing wrong with Raisin Bran, but all things in moderation. And maybe people aren't planning on moderation. I don't know. So look at we're just slam this stuff all over. Don't care. Don't care. I think if people flee in terror from the usual shaded base coat, they might already be in the bunker by now, hiding from this, because this here is going to be scary and messy. Because well, nobody knows what's going to happen, including me. Ain't that fun? But yeah, Adepticon. Uh, love that. Love me some Raisin Bran. There was no shortage yet. Well, see now, we in Chicago, we live a block and a half from our local grocery store, and it's more. Yes, we live in a big city, but yes, it's also more like Mayberry because the drugstore where I drop off my miniatures to mail them. Actually, one of the people there, he may actually be watching this stream right now. So hey, I'll probably see you tomorrow because I got to ship something, or Monday. I'll see you then. He actually loaned me some contrast paints when I said, I don't have the gore grunt or fur or whatever it was. Oh, I didn't have the contrast medium. And he said, hey, Jim, I heard last night you need contrast medium. So what I'm getting at here is that all the big box stores, I guess a lot of them are open 24 hours a day. And, well, I don't think they're able to restock like my neighborhood store, which closes at 9 o'clock every night, like stores used to close. Well, guess what? In those mysterious hours in the middle of the night, things appear like, well, toilet paper, meat, and whatever things that people seem to believe will cease to exist sometime tomorrow. I don't know. We're gonna be going back there again. We got to get Kathy some popcorn. So who knows? Maybe there's a big popcorn shortage. I don't know. We'll find out tomorrow. I'll let you know. But one of the reasons I'm doing this here, this non-metallic or true metallic stuff, is it was one of the classes I was supposed to teach at Adepticon. And there's a Waleed sighting. Uh, this is not Space Marine abuse here. This is who knows? I may be doing this to some Gondor knights, and you know how I feel about Gondor. And yes, Easterlings rule all. Yes, indeed, they shall inherit Middle Earth. Gondor, their day is past. There is long since past. I'm just gonna go in here. I'm gonna get rid of some of this and clean this up. There we go. Do I? I do have. Look at this. I still have some of these left. I need to get me some more of these. I need to get some more of those. Yeah, never fear, folks. Never fear. All right, we got some black here. Transparent black. Let's just go boom, like so. Yeah, this is nice and messy and horrible. While all this is drying, we're going to look at some of the, just set him aside and let's start looking at some of this here. And let's get our water out of the way. So I'm looking at these and there's actually some difference in the consistency. So some of these you can see how thick they are, but look at this. That's very watery right there. I have a feeling that some of the color shift paint, look at that. So I have a feeling that some of those are going to be more watery. Yeah, there was, oh gosh, what was it? I think Kelly also, I think he was in all of the classes that I was doing, including the Geek Nation class. So shout out there. Now this one, I think that one's a regular metallic. That's definitely a regular metallic. Now this, see how bright this is? That's your metal medium. This is actually more like an opalescent type of color here. Now these are actually just regular pro acrylic colors because we're gonna mix up some of this into this. That's more for things like golds. Again, total experimentation here, folks. No, not if all the Iron Hills have something. Dragon Punishment. Yeah, we got to play that. We have got to play that out. We have got to have Iron Hill versus Eastern. We got to have Kamul. We got to have Amdor. We got to have the Dragon Knight. And we got to have that out. Now, I don't know if you saw some of the terrain that, and the more just arrived. I mean, speaking of Gondor, I mean, we basically have Minas Tirith and Osgiliath right now. Of course, I'm also petitioning for Minas Morgul and other fun places like that too. So as this dries, let's start to play around with some of this. I mean, what the heck? What could possibly go wrong here? Here we go. Now I'm gonna just look back here to make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, hey, Sketchrek, how's it going? I knew I missed somebody. Uh, okay, I think we're all set up. Oh, Evil Elvis in the house. How are you doing now? Wow, it's going to be interesting too to see how this affects things like the camera, right? Because it's reflective, it's metal. That's one of, if you're wondering why Jim hasn't done metallic paints all this time, it's not because I didn't want to, it's because I wasn't allowed to. Because the request was always for non-metallic stuff, and well, you kind of do what you're told to do. That's what the people want. That's what you does. So I'm seeing this. This is interesting because the folks that have seen me do this on the Patreon videos, they know, and I'll show you some of the stuff that I've done on that. That the other metallic paints that I've used are pretty thick, like the Green Stuff World ones, especially the whatchamacallit, the Creature Caster paint's really, really, really thick. So this is different already. Okay, so that's good to know. Or at least this color in particular is on the thin side. We showed the other ones and how thin physically those were. Oh, Evil, yeah, because you put something in the comments there, right? And I remember saying, oh, Evil Elvis was on. Now I didn't get to see, unfortunately, I didn't get to see any of the chat, just the nature of the beast with the interview and stuff. So I would have said hey there if I had known that you were in the house watching. So this is really interesting here what this does. Okay, so this is good to know. Now I think you saw those other colors there that are more that greenish sort of turquoise-ish type of deal. So yeah, that's going to be very interesting. Now, in some ways, when you're working with the metallics, to me, it's more like you're doing, say, a pastel painting, and you're working a little bit more along the lines of dark to light. It just seems to be a little bit easier way to work. Now, this is some of the original glaze that's actually just worked its way back into some of this metallic paint right here. Now, I am going to take a brief little pause. I am going to throw out, just bear with me here. I wanted to put some of this out anyways. There, it's golden, yeah, it's ochre, right? Yeah, golden brown. Oh, I have to check that interview out. It was fun because, well, I mean, for lack of a better term, we both love miniatures, right? And we actually, I mean, we make miniatures to play with, right? Lord of the Rings, like Waleed, my Lord of the Rings partner there. Of course, we were always on the opposite side of the table, but unified in all things Lord of the Rings. So just while I let that other stuff dry, I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to hit this base. That's why I've got some of the regular paints out here. There we go. And I don't know if this is going to be marble or not. I mean, it's neither here nor there. All I want to do is bring some of that back, something that I can have as a bit of a foil against the metallics that we're working on here. Oh yeah, being interviewed in. Yeah, yeah. I was wondering. That was he. Vince said that that was the first person to be painting while being interviewed, and the funny thing is, I kind of said, well, it's gonna have to be that way because I was working on those charity auction pieces there, and well, this is when we thought there would still be an Adepticon, so I was furiously working on those for Adepticon. Look at that! Check that out. See how that's just look at that watercolor effect right there. You know, some of those older creature cat. Look at, I'm just intentionally here. Let me do something here. I know this is about painting a space marine, but you're getting bonus coverage here of painting a base. And yes, we've moved completely away from metallics, whatever. Here, just put some liner color. Look at how that's just all mixing together right there. Let's do something like boom, that, and come on, there we go. Now pull this. Yeah, look at that. That's all. That's fun. Look at that. Here, we're just gonna make a couple of little veins of marble here. Just let the thing do what it's going to do by itself. Yeah, look at that. So you just got yourself a little bit of marble going on there. That's about a little more. Yeah. All right. So again, I'm just waiting for this other stuff to dry. And this is the other thing we got to find out is, well, how long does it take for this stuff to dry? Because I got no idea. Oh, hey, Joshua. Nah, nah, no, not doomed. Well, actually, there is Mount Doom. We could do that. We can do a scenario in Mordor, but they definitely have to make the Black Gate. We got 2 3D printers now. We'll just print ourselves up an entire Black Gate. We need a Mouth of Sauron though for that one. I think we got enough between me and Rich and you, enough armored trolls. But Joshua's I have a channel. Whoops, that one just went away. Oh yeah, still doing stuff. So the Candish and Easterling stuff. Oh yeah, well actually there's usually now I'm sorry about that. In a normal time, what do you want to call it? There's 2 of these every week, right? Oh gosh, this is well, now it's Sunday. Far be it from me to know what actual day it is. But usually there's say there's one on Tuesday, there's another one maybe on Friday or Saturday or something like that. Definitely do these a lot. Oh, and I'm gonna try and catch up here. Do. And Eva Elvis says most people can't do that. The brain is out. What's left of the brain is in high gear, kind of all the time. Kathy always jokes about that. If I'm not thinking about 30 things at once, I must be unconscious or something like that. Because and the brain's been working overtime since the whole Adepticon, actually the entire week, because I kind of figured that Adepticon was gone a while ago. And I've been trying to figure out, okay, well, what do we do to replace the 4 classes and 51 students that were supposed to be there? So just, again, a little interlude here, work on the base, that's all. Now let's get caught up on some of this here. And I know we got a question. We'll get to Ben's question. Here, we're about the metallic stuff polluting the other paint. That's so funny because Kathy, she's working on her metallic stuff, right? And she's been basically separating all that stuff, and you can see right there, actually, there's like metallic paint that worked its way into my marble color. Uh, I guess most people, probably not most, I would guess, like you're saying, 99 out of 100 people would say, you got to have separate water dishes and separate brushes, and you might even have to do it in a separate house. It's like you can't let one infect the other. And I'm just like, well, it's true metallic, so why not let the metallics maybe creep into some other things? Maybe that's not maybe that's not a wise way to go. Who knows? We're gonna find out over the next couple hours here for sure. Sure. Do. And trolls to open the gate. You got to have those. Oh yes, you are. Oh, consider yourselves all infected now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I just. That's the funny thing is that well, a lot of the memes and all the Facebook stuff is isolation and people say, oh, now we're gonna get the vast unpainted hordes painted. I'm like, wait a minute, have I had this Corona thing like for 20 years? Because that's kind of what I do. It's just sort of, hey, that's what's cool about doing these YouTube lives is there's like people besides me. So this is kind of interesting. This stuff is really, it's different than say the green stuff worlds. And as then let's let that dry for a touch. Let me find these guys. Ah, here we go. So this was a whole army painting series right here. And the idea was to see could you do object source lighting and metallic stuff at the same time. So that was, and you can see there's some magentas in there, like you got almost like a burnt sienna type color in there. But this was all this, like purples over there. The idea was, can we do this in metallics, but still, you know how I love putting purples and greens and all kinds of wacky colors in my metals. You can see the purple right there. But that was with the Green Stuff World metallic paints using the metal medium. Here we're doing something a little bit different. So let's see how thin the Daba D is. And oh my goodness, that's going to be interesting for me to be pronouncing all these names. Now that's about the same level of translucency there. Interesting. Okay. And I am not quite sure what's going to happen. So this is thinner. Oh, that's way thinner than I was expecting. So that's maybe I actually need to think of it the opposite way and actually start lighter and then work darker. But yeah, one of the classes, as I was telling Nestor there, who just acknowledges the straight up truth that I don't sleep, except this was supposed to start about an hour ago. I was working on some Photoshop images for those Victoria miniatures that I painted, the Desert Scorpions. So check those out, Victoria miniatures. And next thing I knew, I was almost on the floor because apparently while working in Photoshop, I fell asleep. So yeah, there was a slight loss of time right there. I don't know. I think there was actually one point where, as I was sleeping, I thought I was doing this. So there you go. The other thing I got to figure out is okay, how long, what's the dry-in time on this stuff? We're going to find out a lot of interesting things here as we do this. And we're going to find out, do you mix these things together? Do they mix with regular paints? The usual kind of stuff. The usual. No, Higgy Mon Street. I'll see you later. Thanks for stopping by there. So yeah, this is going to probably be really scary for some folks because, well, yeah, they're used to the craziness of the non-metallic stuff, and now we're going even crazier with this. Now let that dry for a bit. Now it's interesting. So it's thick, but it's also thin. This is another thing where we're going to be doing some of our non-metallic effects at the same time. Okay, boom, there's that. While we're here, we're just going to grab some of our regular colors. We'll hit the couple of purity seals that we got here. Oh, that. Oh, look, purity seal's over here. Guess I'm going to have to get some red out on the palette there. Oh, let's do something with our golds, and we're going to find out right away what happens when we're mixing these. That's an interesting. Oh, look at that. That's fun. So this is the, what is this here? Malum Malus, actually mixed with some of my creature caster paints. Another reason I'm doing that is to see, well, how opaque does that make them? So does adding a little bit of the creature caster regular paints make it opaque enough? And it does. It really does increase the opacity. So that's interesting. That is certainly interesting. Just go around here. We'll be doing more there. Don't worry about that. Let's just hit you real quick. A couple other doodads here. Yeah, we'll just knock that down. Just gotta let some of the paint just mix right in there. All right, let's see what happens. And do some of the reflected lights. So let's see. Evil Elvis, I've been using the alcohol-based metallics, and they don't wet blend well with my other acrylics. Yeah, I could swear that Kathy has something like those. Well, now that's really thin. That is some super thin stuff. It's very sparkly, though. That's for sure. That's really darn sparkly. All right, I'm going to advance just real quick here. I'm going to look at the. Here, let's start to really pop in some lighter tones here. So that's going to be interesting that we don't have a whole lot of just not quite the coverage I was thinking, because again, I'm used to other metallic paints. And what I'm kind of having to do here is sort of scumble these things in. Now, okay, let's do something like this. So this is the transparent blue. That's just the creature caster stuff. And we'll mix some of the metal medium in here. We'll just make our own metallic here. That's a reasonably similar blue. And let's just see on this thing right here how much that covers. Oh, geez, yeah. Okay. So that's interesting. Just finding out here, just trying some things. Now, what I'm going to do here, just give me a chance, is change my lights around a little bit here. That's going to be a little easier for you guys to see. Yeah, it's going to be really tough for me to see, though. So I may have to change these things around eventually. That's why another reason I don't do a whole lot of metallic painting, because it just drives the lights insane. Because, well, they're obviously wanting to reflect on everything. Oh, and that happened while building the Lord of Malice. Oh, well, you don't want to end up face first on one of those creature caster sculpts. There's a lot of spiky things on there. So now you can see I'm starting to throw in some of these more vertical highlights and lines right here. So I can see it's starting to transition a little bit towards the greenishness. Let's do some more here on these round surfaces. I haven't had a chance to mess with any Primaris Marines whatsoever. This is the very first time I ever had a chance to work on one of these guys. Again, this is more of that. Oh, what is it? Not Ice to Never. It is Curacao, I think. Now let's take some of this green and mix it with that. Might even take some of the metal medium and mix that in there. There is definitely some pearlescence here, that's for sure. No doubt about that. Kathy's been using them on her twins, her creature caster figure, and when I was looking at that, it seemed to me that there was definitely more along the lines of you could kind of see some metal particles in there. Definitely could see some metal particles. Here, let's just do. I'm gonna do some of this over here, real quick, like. And I may go back and, well, I'm probably certainly gonna go back and glaze some things darker over the top. Just look. Okay, so let's get this lighter here too. So that's the first thing I noticed right away. Is this stuff is pretty darn translucent. I mean, really translucent. So I didn't know. Hadn't tried it before. When I work on the, basically what I'm trying to do is make the classroom videos, and those will be available for the patrons. Well, that's going to be using it for me a little bit more of a classic. Who would have thought I'd already have a classic way of doing TMM? I'd be using this, the metal medium, and something like the creature caster paints. So certainly, wow, without a doubt, a big, huge, colossal difference in coverage. And the shiny stuff here, this is not wet paint or anything like that. What I'm going to do, give me a chance here to, I'm going to reduce the contrast just a touch and kill the brightness a little bit. So what I'm seeing is that maybe I do an opposite approach where I actually start out with it lighter and glaze these things darker over the top. Just again, there was no way I was going to know until I tried it. All right, let's do some stuff here. So we want to get some reflected light on this. I don't know. Yeah, so this is the, wow, okay, that must be one of the color shift things. So let's put some of that down here and see what we get. Again, trying to do some reflected light here. I know it's really, it's not as dark for you as it is for me. Holy smokes. So I'm just mixing some of the metal medium in there to just make it a little more intense. Well, you can see that. Somehow I thought that wasn't exactly pointed towards the camera, but it was. Very interesting. That is really, one is so different from the other as far as the metal medium and the transparent versus just the straight. Well, let's try this. Let's see what happens here. So this is the metal medium that's being mixed into the Turbo Dork paint, and now just gonna go over here and see what happens. Okay, so yeah, if I need that even not just lighter but more opaque, get a little better coverage, even just to add the metal medium will do it. So another handy thing to know. Here, let's get some of his master. Heck, for me, it's just weird enough painting a space marine because yeah, I've been doing some special characters. That's not quite the same as just your regular old standard marines. Start to bring out some things on this power pack here. And when I switch the lights back, for me, it's going to look really different for me, and I'll have to just do some other adjustments to that too. But for now, the whole idea of this is just to see where it's going to go. Okay, let's take, I think it's the Caracal. That's also mixed with ye old metal medium. That sure as heck is getting brighter. Let's see what we've got coverage-wise. Yeah, that's going to be lighter as well. The crazy thing, and this is some things that Kathy was finding out in her little metallic journey, is that you think you can make them lighter, and it's weird. You can't quite make them lighter. That the highlighting process not the same as it is with just your regular old non-metallic stuff, which is yeah, that's what we grew up with. That's our thing. Let's do some here. Okay, this is the thing I noticed about the Primaris Marines right away back in a while ago when I first started to see those everywhere. There certainly is a lot of rounded surfaces on them, which makes it definitely amenable to do this kind of thing here. So I'm just sort of starting to sketch that out now. Just sort of positioning those things. Now we want to get ourselves again, those are those vertical or just linear thing. I'd be doing the same exact thing if I was to be doing this in non-metallics, and there'll be other live sessions. I got a whole bunch of Primaris Marines now that won't necessarily be used for Adepticon stuff. So you'll see more of this in different ways. You'll see object source lighting on Marines. You'll see lots of Marine stuff now because we have them. I've got it's a group of Rubik Marines. That's actually gonna be a Patreon series, I do believe. Let's keep going. Oops, I gotta go see the chat here. Evo used plaid color shift paints in this way because they're transparent. Yeah, that's for sure. That is for sure. So I guess I gotta just think of them as a glazing kind of a thing. But the metal medium, I've always liked it, and believe it or not, the first time I ever used it, really for serious instead of just playing it around, was on the bolt action figures because I needed obviously the rifles and machine guns. You needed that sort of blackened steel look, and taking the blue liner or something, or even say the transparent black and transparent blue, mix those together. Well, that right there, that is a. I'm just gonna look for a little bit of a purple over here. What's this? That's a bubblegum crisis. Let's see what it does. Let's see what it does. No idea what it's gonna do. Wow, that's bubblegum colored. However, we're gonna mix it with something else. Aha. Okay. Where are we at? I'm looking. Oh, good. You can see that. Now that's interesting. So it's having an effect there, which is always good. Because I'm hoping to maybe get a little bit of almost a purple sort of reflected light in some places on this. Oh, what the heck? Let's go do something like this. So that's the sort of a tin type of color there. It's got a little bit of the metal medium mixed in there. And there's the Vallejo stuff. That's what I started with. And then, well, actually, kind of a lot of people make it now. There is obviously the Creature Caster one. Green Stuff World has one. Technically, even the Turbo Dork has one. So that's more common than it used to be. So you can see it starts to lighten up our bolter right there. It's one heck of a bolter too. Now, what I'm going to do is grab some of this gold here. So we're going to do maybe some shading on it. So we're taking some of that gold and mixing it with some of these darker colors here. I mean, we got shell casing here. Let's do that. We've got this that's going to, for sure, need to be some sort of gold. Anywhere, oh yeah, that. And we're going to keep hammering away at this. Again, I have no idea exactly how this is all going to play out. I haven't used any of these things before except really for the metal medium, so we shall find out. I'm just going to drop some quick little shading on these guys. It's always got to have that reference. Yeah, over here. Always got to have some kind of a context, because if this is all just dark, any color next to dark looks light, so we need to put some of the lighter colors from these purity seals in there, just as again, so you can see it as some way to judge. Let's not forget the other side of these guys here. I'm gonna have to try this on like I said, some Lord of the Rings figures too. Some Gondor. Boy, that gets bright. Wow, look at that's interesting, because again, this has some of the metal medium in it. Now, the other thing I did find with the using the metallic paints just in general is they tend to want to be kind of on the thicker side. And it's just, well, we're used to paint. What are we always doing with it? We're always thinning it, right? And metallic paints don't necessarily work quite in that manner. We're just gonna give him some eyes here real quick. We'll do our usual glowing eyes on there too. I'm just going to hit this real quick. And I am going to mix, so this is that pale yellow, essentially. We are going to mix that with the gold here, see what happens. So it's definitely going to make that more opaque. It's going to make it stand out a bit more. That's what I'm looking for. And the idea is that I'm going to lighten this up, and then I'll take, because we know now how transparent that stuff is. So I kind of learned right away, almost sort of sketch things lighter and then glaze over darker. That's the approach I'm going to have to take with these. So now I know. And what are we talking about? So see how we just lightened those up there. Now we're going to go back to just the gold here. And what we should be able to do, yeah, look at that. We can glaze right over the top. It's not about making it darker. The only point of this glaze is to actually just restore the metallic shine. That's all. So you can, it's weird. I know it seems kind of strange, but you can sort of paint almost both ways at the same time. Now I'm going to take some of this blue over here, mix it into I just want a little bit of a bluish touch here on his scope. Make that touch lighter in place. Let me see the chat here. Does the medium make the paint stickier? Because often these paints, it does, ish. Not necessarily. I think, well, what's making it stick even more is the fact that now you're getting more and more of the regular creature caster paints mixed in with these. So that's the thing that I noticed right away, is that it's kind of like it's kind of like a surfboard on the miniature. It's flying around all over the place. And I thought that could happen. Now, some of the other metallics that I tried, they don't do that quite so much. Like those Necrons that I was flashing earlier, that was a different story with those. That actually covered really well. I was real surprised, believe it or not, that it did that. So yeah, like you see here, all this stuff that is, oh, let's get some of this going here. And yes, I'm going to put some of that on his bolter. Wow, that is translucent. My goodness. So this is interesting. This is more of it's kind of the supreme glazing approach over here. Interesting. So I apologize for kind of going, well, look at that, look at that, because this is all new, all something brand new for me. Have not tried this before. And I hope that the idea of just trying something that is massively new for me sort of makes you think, yeah, you know what the heck? It's not like I'm painting on camera in front of a bunch of folks for them to watch. Sometimes you just gotta accept that things will go haywire or not quite work as you expected, especially when it's something like this, a brand new material. I suppose if you're asking me what is my favorite way to execute something like true metallic metals, it is taking regular paints and mixing those with the metal medium. It just, to me, it's an easier path. Maybe to someone else, they would prefer something different. Now let's go opposite here. Let's go opposite. We're gonna take some of the metal medium here. We're gonna go into that dark stuff we originally used, and now look at that. We got ourselves a nice super dark metallic color, and that's gonna work its way in here. A couple of things. It's not just to darken it. It's also I'm looking to pollute that blue just a little bit. And like I said, this is all going to change, especially for me. When I turn my regular lights on again, it's going to go, whoa, what's that? It's going to look very different. So let's get ourselves another set of highlights in here. Gotta remember my vertical lights there. Do some more of that over here. The funny thing is that in some ways, the fact that I'm using the metallic paints here is it's kind of dictating the horizontal lines because the way the lights are hitting it basically says, well, yeah, keep doing that. So you can see here again, another little bit of almost a reflected light underneath there. Since that is so transient, let's see, but just do it over here too. I really don't want to lose the almost purple type of effect here, so I'm just gonna get looking for some kind of reflected light that is different from just the standard blue there. Now we haven't really done a whole bunch in this area. I'm going to go back to some of the original. So let's see. Let's see what happens when we bring some of this back in. Now that we've added all these other colors here. So yeah, okay. That's doing sort of what I expected now. Yeah, see, we're going to go over this edge here. And it says we're getting back into the dry glaze thing that we talk about all the time on some of the regular. Yeah, so I'm seeing that purple and gray working its way in there, so I am going to throw some of that blue over the top there too. So it does work. I'm also noticing with the Turbo Dork stuff, I mean, it's not like I really rely on the wet palette anyway, all that much to be super wet, but I can see that the Turbo Dork stuff, kind of like the Creature Caster paint, would prefer a drier palette. Again, not a big deal because, well, I don't really have lots of water all over my palette anyways. Is there a Ben asks, is there a difference between the metal medium and regular line thin silver? I didn't think there was. I thought, well, okay, was it mithril silver? Remember back in the day, and a hello to Barry Carter. So let's see if it's 258 here. Oh, wait a minute, you guys haven't done the daylight savings thing yet. So you're only 5 hours ahead of us, right? So, well, it's pretty well. I guess 8 a.m. is not that early in the morning, but good morning nevertheless. So that's interesting. Yeah, the I didn't think there was, but then the more I started to use the metal medium, it seemed to be different. It definitely seemed to be different. Okay, things like what I just am trying to do right here, this seems to be where it's a big difference. So we're trying to just, yep. If I was to try and do that with any metallic, even well, the old mithril silver back in the day, it's super hard to do that. The metallics just want to be, well, thicker for whatever reason. Not quite sure why. So it does. There's certain things that metal medium can do, and this goes beyond just that mixing with the regular paint that I was telling you about. It goes a little bit past that. That's very interesting. And see how much lighter I can go. It's what is it? The more things change, the more things stay the same. Is this really, in theory, all that different from everything that I normally do, say with the non-metallics and everything else? In some ways, it's kind of the same deal. The same principles apply, at least, I guess, is where I'm going with that. So more, just seeing what I can add here in terms of light. Now, maybe it doesn't have as much of the jade effect as the other things. So we'll just make some of the metal medium in there. Oh, what the heck? Let's try some of the pearlescent stuff too. Now I'm looking at this and I can see a whole bunch of big metal flakes in there. They have a couple of paints that are kind of specifically designed to be that way. They're sort of designed to have the metal flakes show. So I mean that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. All right, let's get some of these. Get some more of these lighter vertical things happening here. Gonna go back into the there. That's the metal medium again. Yeah, sometimes so water, like as with the metallic paints, can be. Sometimes you just got to use those straight up, which is it's well, obviously for a whole bunch of us, that's kind of a weird idea. I mean, more than a weird idea. I'm gonna darken that down at the same time. Also reintroduce some metal shininess. Boy, that is just so. It's a lot of shiny going on. We need some reflected light there. So let's grab this over here and let's see what happens. Underside of these. And from what I've seen in the other areas, basically I can go in there and just almost overplay this a bit. Do it more than what I need. I'm going to do that here too. And then I can take some of those the bluish metal colors, and then I'll paint over this to, oh, what would you say? Just sort of glaze a better transition, right? Something along those lines. It is 8:07. So I was at Kathy's. Yeah, she mentioned that. I think that was this morning because I think. Oh no, last she was watching one of our UK streamers, and she said, "Wait a minute, why is it only this time in the morning? It should be this time." And nope, no daylight savings time yet. That is never a fun moment in a house when you're going to bed at 6 o'clock in the morning. That whole spring forward thing, that can just, well, I have some non YouTube compliant metaphors for that. Yes, sirree. So we're gonna, here, let's do, it's our little mix again, and we'll hit our couple of these areas. So let's go do some stuff with gold here. I'm gonna see what have we here for just this is regular. Um, yeah, now that could be a non YouTube friendly metaphor too, or descriptor, but we'll just say that it's gold. I'm gonna do that. And is it a colors? It's nope. Just says it's a metallic paint, and you can read that as you wish. But I am gonna see what that does. So yeah, it's lighter. Okay. I mean it does what golds do. I'm gonna get some fresh water out here for myself too. 1 second here. Oh, these things in here. Let's do something here with our. I'm gonna let them be basically semi-metallic here. So that's that kind of. Oh no, tin bits was always a more of a bronze type of color, but so I want that to have a little bit of metallicness to it. Is that a word? I don't know. It's 3 a.m. here, so it's. I'll say it's a word. Yeah, that was a that particular font is well, it has potential for reading it in another way. That's for sure. Now I am going to steal me a bit of aha. Here we go. By the time this is over, we're going to have more regular colors than metallic colors on this thing. But it's purity sealed time. I'm just going to, for the heck of it here, let's get a little bit of red going. Before I forget, there, where's the, nope, that one's not over there. However, we do have, oh, what the heck, let's mix a little bit of the gold with that. I mean, it's transparent, right? Let's see what kind of a glaze that can do. So it does give us a little bit of a gold right there. And well, yeah, that's okay. Let's play with something like this. So we got our fluorescent orange there. Oh, Aerox is there. How you doing? The word you're looking for is Metallica. That's. Let's put you over here. Let's put you over there. And we're just gonna do a couple of doodads there, just to sort of mark that in place. Let's get a little bit of our little just indicator there of that diode that's going to be reflecting certain things. I'm going to see what I can do on the top of our little backpack over here. Like so. The thing with the metallic paint is there's times where you can just go, well, geez, I got to get it lighter and lighter and lighter, and sometimes when you really look at it, then you actually got to go the opposite way. That's the crazy thing about these, and it's something that I will just eventually get used to, I suppose. At some point, that's like anything else. You use something often enough. Heck, the first time I used the golden acrylics, the fluorescent stuff, I didn't know what exactly it was going to do. Of course, it turned out that I really enjoyed the heck out of it, really liked it. But that is the first thing I notice about the Turbo Dork stuff, is that it's going to be very thin, very transparent, so I almost have to think and complete opposite of the way I normally, when I'm using the metal medium and such. Got to think in a totally different way. Which nothing wrong with that. That's fine. Here, let's get a little more. Not just lighter, but still hopefully keep some of the gold in that. You know what? I'm going to get me some, even a little touch of blue in there. Hopefully that shows up. Even in there. It's time to see if we can really start to reflect some of this stuff around. Now, these, we're essentially kind of using the color shift paints in this area, which is interesting. Like so. And yeah, I want to get back into here. Boy, I don't know if you can. I know that's getting sort of blocked by, well, just the figure itself. I'm just, again, looking for some of this to reflect upwards a bit. I'm going to see if I can't. I'm using it, some of the metal medium with this to lighten it up. That is just, it's going to be interesting. Now, again, I wasn't looking to completely replicate whatever was in the reference picture there. It was just sort of a little thing where, can we do something that looks a little bit more like non-metallic stuff instead of just the usual metallic where it's, you sort of just kind of throw it on there. You throw some Devlin mud or maybe a contrast paint or two or something like that, and that's it. It's not meant to be anything super earth-shattering. Yeah, let's get ourselves going back with some of the original blue there. Oh yeah, see that's fun doing that. Let's get some down here too. Gonna get some here. Oh, I think we need some over here too. What will happen though as you start to, I'm mixing the metal medium goes in there, some of the regular colors that aren't metallics, and you will start to see some areas that are flatter than others, and that becomes, you start to see that more. You're kind of waiting for that to happen, and you just, you got to go in there and sort of make an adjustment to that. Now, have you thought about doing a space marine, doing chipping techniques? Oh, most definitely. That was definitely something I wanted to do. Let me just, I need my other window. There we go. There's a whole bunch of things. I want to do space marines with object source sliding, space marines with, what would you say, more weathering, right? Because like here, I'm just so tempted to wipe that thing away and then just paint some kind of a freehand design there. Oh, yeah, I don't know. No, I won't do it. No, maybe I will. Here, let's see if we can't put something on there instead of just a big old blue pad. What are we gonna do? Let's just start to make up some kind of a design here. Uh, just making something up on the fly here, which may change. Not quite sure what it's going to be yet, but it is sort of in semi-metallic here. Now I got 4. I need a 4th one over here, like that. So yeah, I have no idea what this little icon is going to be, but it'll be something. Maybe just do some sort of a sword right there, but we'll get back to that later. Now, yeah, for those of you that are new, haven't really seen this before, this is me just trying something brand new. I have no idea what all the different properties of the Turbo Dork metallic paints are, so that is why we are just doing this little experiment, because there is no way to find out until you actually use the things. Just gonna... There we go. It starts to look a little bit like something there. Are they wings? Are they not wings? I don't know. And we'll do some more stuff on that later, but I just wanted to... Yeah, there we go. Now there's something on there. Just, boy, unadorned. What is it? An unexamined life is not worth living. An unadorned shoulder pad is just not worth seeing. I just can't do that. Gotta have something more there. I'm also... Now we're back into the adding darker paint mode here. And I took that blue-black mix. That's the Pro Acrylic paints, right? Taking those, tossed in a little bit of that metal medium there just to get them looking metallic. But I tell you, that darn near lets you get away with murder when you do that. That is really... I love being able to, when I need it, not just any color metallic, but any value, whether it's light or dark or whatever. Like here, if I want some dark, over here, if I want some dark, same thing. Here, I need me some lighter metallic. So let's just dig into here. This is it's not the, it's this one, the Daba D. Oh, let's see. It's the wear gloves, crest to ward off cold. Yeah, that's it. Oh, there we go. Boy, that does have kind of a medical look in some ways to it, actually, now that you mention it. That's what it is. It is the anti-corona marines. There we go. And Ben says, come up with a Wappel family crest. Oh, and then they get the W. I had messed around when I was doing the 2D art, and I had messed around with some sort of a family crest type thing. Yeah, we got to have that. Definitely something. I'm gonna go back into that turquoise stuff again here and see. I'm looking right. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Edge, right there. And I'm trying to get you lighter too, because we all talk to our paints as we put them on the miniature. Kathy does that. And she always then explains that she's doing that and not actually telling me to do something. Some more of that here. So it's intriguing, that's for sure. Like I said, this is real super new for me. And the folks that have been here and seen these before, they know I'm always, every chance I get, I always say, just, you have to try the new things. It may not be in your comfort zone or whatever, but just give them a shot, and then maybe you find something that's brand new that you really really enjoy. Well, like the metal medium, I certainly didn't think that was ever going to be for me. It was just, I did it because I needed to use it. That's all it was. It was quite literally a stopgap thing, and who'd have thought that it's something that I would really actually like. I did not expect that. And we're sort of building up some of the different colors in the metal here, just like I would do with my regular non-metallic metal stuff. A little bit of purple, a little bit of green. Even though, I mean, overall, people are just going to look at it and they'll say, okay, a blue space marine. Well, when they look at it closer, they're going to see there's a whole bunch more. There's more to see than just that. Even in the black here, you can see some of the blue there. There's some gold. Let's go back to this green here a little bit. I do have to remember, though, to sort of not have the water in the brush. Just have to really keep the brush much drier. So that's another note to self there. I mean, taking lots of mental notes right here, except I'm going to lose the piece of paper, I'm sure. Now I turn this around, and yes, we'll get some here. Now, let's do some of our, look at that, those lights looking a little bit, well, lighter, like here and there. And we'll go back in with our metallic paints here. I'm going to grab me a different brush right here. I think that might be helpful. Just looking to maybe see what I can do on some edges with this. Again, this is the metal medium. Right now, this is the Creature Caster metal medium. The Vallejo metal medium, it's the one I first used, and I thought that was the only metal medium of its kind. It turns out, obviously, more and more folks are starting to make such things. Are there differences? It does seem like there are. I couldn't actually just offhand really say what those differences are at the moment. It could be just, well, okay, how does it mix? You maybe would never notice the difference with them until you start to mix them with regular paint. And that's where you notice, okay, you're mixing it with a really dark blue. Does it lighten that blue, or does it really just sort of give it a little bit of sparkle? Because the metal medium from Vallejo, I knew all along, it very clearly does lighten the paint. That's what I loved about it, because what's the hardest thing to do with metallic paints is to get shadows. It's real easy to make them lighter, but as soon as you take your Nuln Oil or any sort of contrast paint or whatever and stick that over the top, what's the first thing that happens is well, you lose the shiny. That's gone. And that's not terribly helpful. So if you're able to work the other way, if you're able to work those darker areas and using the metal medium by mixing it with darker colors, that is the handy part. Oh, let's do some lineage here with our, hey, this is pretty much straight up metal medium, but this is where I find out that, yeah, you've got those pretty darn dark, because you can see how light that is by comparison. Oh, let's do a little, again, highlight on top of that. And how's about here on this? Like, we got to get some definition in here. There is a little bit of, actually, believe it or not, gold that's kind of mixed into here. It's not even straight up metal medium at this point. It actually has some other stuff in it. Now, the other thing that I've tried to experiment with, I haven't done a whole bunch with that, is to take something like the metal medium. Well, you mix it with a contrast paint or something that is well, vaguely like I guess an ink or whatever, and see how much of the actual metallic effect stays behind, or does it just kind of fade, and you end up with something that's kind of a dead color compared to your regular metals next to it. So here, let's go something like so with that sword. Let's get some sort of shading on our quickly little crafted wings in there. Like so, a little bit of shade. Here we're going to take some of our, again, our darker, the creature cast. That was the transparent black that we had mixed in there. Now I can go back into my lighter stuff over here. Let's see, bring back some of our lighter colors in the design. But even this has a little bit of metallic in it, so it's not going to be such a stark difference. I definitely want to do some Space Marines with the chipping and the rust and all the kind of fun weathering things, because boy, it's been a long time since I messed around with that. No doubt about it. Gonna go back into this is that much darker metallic. So it's really dark blue. I mean, it is really dark. It's almost like a Prussian blue type color, but yet there's some metallic to it. I don't know if you can see it on the palette or not, but there's definitely some shininess to it. And I can almost do some a little bit of lineage with that, but at the same time not lose the metal effect there. Well, let's try some on the knee pads. I'm going to grab a bit more of this, but you'll see, look at this. See, if I add more of that, it starts to get lighter. So that's kind of where where you've got, I don't know, what would you say, a decent, wow, wow, I can see the dark there. That's what I'm looking for. I really needed that right there. Oh, let's see. Oh, hey, Gene. Charles Blanc. It looks much better than the non-metallic. About shadows wouldn't shiny metal be less shiny when less light would hit it. And that's a handy point there. So actually, you're sort of, what would you say? You're getting kind of an unexpected side benefit of using the metal medium, because you're cutting down on the shininess. Just by default, you're making it darker, which yay you want, and you're kind of cutting down on the shininess part of it, which is probably another thing you want too. So that's actually kind of a cool thing right there. So much appreciated for that. I will try and emphasize that actually on the subsequent ones of these that we do, because I'll try obviously more of this. This was just I had this here, and it seemed, I saw the reference there, and I thought, well, maybe that could be a fun little exercise. So I'm going with your eagle crest right here. And part of it too is, well, hey, Kathy was sitting there having all kinds of fun with her figure she was doing with all the metallic stuff, and how it is. Something you see somebody else having fun with something, you say, I gotta try that too. So that's what I was doing. It was just sort of saying, I want to have me some fun with that too. But there's certainly lots of different blues in this. Let's get ourselves, boy. I know it's going to be blocked by the arm there. You'll just have to, if I can't quite rotate it around for you to see, you'll just have to, eventually it'll work its way around so you can see it. Here's some of that Caracal Ah, yeah. And we're getting all kinds of different. This is again, we're back into the greener colors. Some colors here more bluish. Like right there, you definitely have more of the blue working through. Oh, let's get darker again. On the other side of this, like so. And we need some. We're going to go back into this lighter. Boy, I keep getting a lot of water in here. I should probably not have quite so much hit there. But yeah, it's. I would do definitely just play around with metallics much more. If more people said yes, go ahead and do metallics on that. So it's. I think there's some folks that say, well, you just don't like to do that. And I say, no, it's not that we don't like to do it. We just never get a chance to. Now, as you could see just by how I've had to change the lights around and mess around with the camera settings, that's if you're looking at the downside of the metals, that's where you're getting into the downside of it, and that it's really tough to keep the camera from just getting completely fried by your metals there. You get a little, yeah, we're looking for a little bit of side light over there. Oh, we got to get these his toes and stuff. No, and Ben says, I think Vince also uses inks to shade the TMM, kills just enough of the shine. So, yeah, I guess since I really enjoyed that little discovery there of the metal medium, it's been something I've really enjoyed using, that's for sure. Now, I guess we all want control over things, and when you think about it, it does actually let me control the amount of metallic effect in things. So that's kind of cool. Just I think you can now you can sort of see it. It's kind of dark in there. I certainly need to get some kind of reflected light right there. So we will go back to this and do that right in there. Just now I'm going to go with some of that metal medium again. Just getting the ends of these, but just like I do, and there's no difference between this and when I do this with the non-metallic stuff, is that when I do these highlights, they're almost more like dots instead of entire complete lines. All right, here, same thing with that somehow reflected light. So, oh, that's the color shift there. That is the color shift. I'm gonna put that down here. I'm gonna get some of that over here. Boy, I hope that shows up, man. I wish the camera showed that better, but there was a fun little, there's a line right here, and then again over there. And that's that color shift paint that's super thin. I mean, with all the other stuff was thin. Holy smokes, the color shift version is even thinner. All right, we are doing a similar thing over here on this side. Just trying to, again, reflect some of the marble onto that. Now I'm just gonna run back over here and play around with the base again a bit. Oh, can you see? Yeah, you can see what I'm doing there. I am. Well, what the heck? I am going to get some of the metallic paint in here just for the heck of it. I think you can see that. So again, it's kind of looks like a bit of a vein that's working its way through. And if you missed that early part that where we were sort of doing a bit of a, well, what would you say, the marble effect there, you can just go back, watch it from the beginning. I also have plenty of videos on painting marble and that sort of thing. This is the base itself is just bulletin board cork and Sculpey clay. Yes, and that was definitely going to be a huge part of my Adepticon tutorials or my Adepticon classes. I had two basing classes, and there definitely would have been some painting marble going on. I do have one. I think it is just a general access video on painting marble on the Sculpey. Just a clay that you bake in the oven, not super expensive or anything like that. You don't need any kind of a kiln. It's not air drying. You do have to actually physically bake it. Once it's baked, though, you can break it and carve it and do all kinds of fun things to it. Let's see. Yeah, now I'm gonna grab. Where's my Necron guys again here? Here's a couple. There's a couple more. So again, this is where I was trying to show the non-metallic sort of effect with the object source lighting, but using metallic. So see, look at here, you got the purples there, and you got that bright bluishness there. Some of that was just the straight up metallic paint. I know that purple was and that light blue was, but that stuff really covered. I mean, man, did that cover? It is what it is. Each paint's always going to be different, just like the Pro Acryls. They are designed to cover massively. Other paints just not designed to do that. That's okay. I'm just really quickly here going to knock this down. Bring it back slightly here. So this is obviously not going to be with the metals here, but helpful anyways. Oh, hit this, then I've got to do some lighter type stuff on that sigil over there that's hanging off of this. Yeah, let's get just a touch brighter in a few places on this. Also going to have to work on that shell casing. Well, actually not a shell casing. It's actually it's a bullet there. So I'm just noticing that. Oh, let's get into just some quick little reds over here on this purity seal. It'll offer some color in there. That's maybe not there. Now I'll play around with the lights, and the cat. I haven't really, obviously, we haven't done too many of these. Well, this is really it's the first one of its kind. So I'll play around with some stuff and see if there's some way to basically light it so that I can see it well enough and that you can see what's going on too. I'm going to play around with the purity seals here just a bit. I mean, as much as it's been fun playing around with the metals, it is time to do a little something here. Now I did just this was for the patrons here. This is a Patreon video. So see what we got there with the. Now these are obviously monstrous size compared to what's on our Space Marine, but see those the scrolls and the letters and stuff. We'll fool around with that here on these guys. Just going to figure out what is going to be. How light does this get without being too white? There's no white in this whatsoever. This is basically a yellow ochre right here. Oh, Evil Elvis, I saw someone airbrushing dryer sheets to. Oh, yeah, Domus. Well, it was all the terrain for Adepticon, right? Those all the GW kind of like altar type pieces. Yeah, boy, talking about somebody you feel bad for. I mean, he was working hard on that, and that's something that other people they've I've seen him doing that. There are some terrain pieces that are headed here. Actually, there's terrain pieces I already have where I thought I'd play around with that. So you will see me play around with that here too on the channel. There's another video too that you're gonna get. Again, it was me getting things ready for Adepticon, but I was making a new version of the homemade oil brushers. So instead of like these nail polish containers, which I love, but they're not as easy to transport. So I actually came up with a little different way of making the oil brushers. And I'm doing a bit of a video on that. So let me get a little bit of transparent brown out there. We'll go back to my transparent black here. I'm just gonna throw you right over there. Now, handy that I have this red over here. I'm gonna darken that up just a bit, and can you see that? Yes. What we're going to do is make ourselves a little bit of a rectangle there. And do the same thing down here. Oh, what the heck, we'll do one over there. Let those puppies dry, but in the meantime, we are going to take some of the transparent black, transparent brown. Let's do ourselves a little bit of scroll work on this. So what it is, instead of just drawing lines, you can see we're trying to create the effect of some kind of words. We're putting some gaps. And they're not just dots, they have a little bit of variation to those. I hope that shows up. I think it does. There's a little bit of a balance here. You have to have the paint fluid enough to flow, but not so fluid that it just flows all over your purity seal. That's probably not what you're looking for. But let's say you have a part that's just it's too connected. Well, you just take some of your sort of parchment colored color and just knock that down. So we'll just say, okay, you know what? There was a part over here. Didn't like that line. So look, I just take some of it away like that. No big deal. And now, give me some of this back out here. What is this? Bright yellow, pale yellow. That's the creature caster. Regular color, not a metallic. Not a metallic, but we're going to use it here. Inside that little rectangle, I'm going to try and paint a letter of some kind. So T, I think, is probably the most common. A is another common letter. Just the bigger the purity seal, obviously the easier that's going to be. I'm going to just take the metal medium here and we'll look and just mix myself up a bit of a medium type of gold. Look at me. There's probably like 20 different golds in the Turbo Dork range alone, and yet I've got to make my own because, well, that's just me being me, I suppose. Now going back in, this is some of my fluorescent orange here because I want to get a bit of a glow on the end of the bolter muzzle. I got a whole bunch of videos, oh my gosh, tons of them, that involve the fluorescent paints, the object source lighting. So again, if you're new here, just seeing this for the first time, and glad, hopefully you have not fled in terror already because it's scary and different. But give those a look see, the object source lighting thing, because I'm just, some would say I'm obsessed with it, and they would most likely be right. Let's see. Ben asked, "Do you have a ratio on your oil brushers?" It's different depending on the paint. So let's say you're using something like a, oh gosh, a phthalo blue or a phthalo green. You're gonna go with less white spirits or thinning mechanism on that, just because, well, you're starting out with thin paints relatively compared to the other types of oils. Now you go with, say, a raw sienna, ochre. Those are your thicker ones, more opaque ones, right? Well, there's probably going to be more of your white spirit. You're going to thin those down. Geez, maybe not an exact formula, but maybe 10% more than something like those phthalo colors. Those would be probably thin the least. But as soon as you get into, like I said, some of those more opaque colors, then that's where you might find yourself doing more of the, a little bit more of the thinning. So this is, yeah, see, okay, where's my, there it is. So that's some of the metal medium mixed with some of the, gosh, for lack of a better term, almost like a lavender type, but that's the color shift paint. Let us get, yeah, it needs to get down into there too. We need something that's a little bit shinier in there. Let's see what we got there. No, I need, no, I'm going to leave the bolter alone, but I am going to hit this with some of it. Now we've got the shell over there. Let's see what I can do. This is using pretty much almost straight up the metal medium there. And I'll show you the container in a second. I'm just going to throw a couple of these on here. And then as that sits there, so we've got, this is what we've been using here. I'm real quick gonna grab you the, so this is the first metal medium that I ever used. Obviously a Vallejo there. And I thought that was the only metal medium there was, and it kind of was, until other guys said, maybe we can make that too. And they did, much to my pleasure. That was really cool that other folks tried to make that too. This is very much like what I would do normally with my non-metallic metal stuff. It's just now I'm doing it with metal paint. So that is, oh gosh, true metallic metals, right? That's pretty much what it gets called. Sometimes I just space on the names for things because, well, it's that time. It was at 4, it's 3:50 in the morning here. And I know I did, it was for the Geek Nation tours, folks, last year at Adepticon. I did this, mixing the metallic medium with regular paints. This year was supposed to be a basing class. And as I said, I'm going to try and first they'll go with the, on the Patreon page, the videos that I was going to do for my Adepticon classes, but that's like this. That's why I'm doing this here in a YouTube live, so you guys can get a little bit of a feel for it. Well, you're getting even more of a presentation here because this is, I haven't tried the Turbo Dorks yet, so we're just basically learning on the fly what those things can do. And this is where I'm just, again, using the metal medium here to find myself a few places where it can be lighter. See, this is the other thing too. It doesn't necessarily happen with the metallic paints. I'm consciously trying to get that underlighting there, which is something that usually doesn't happen with the metallics just by themselves. So yeah, see, can you see that? Boy, I think you can. Oh, look at that. Yeah, see that purple right there? That's not reflecting something on me or whatever. That was actually painted in there. So it's possible. I have now discovered, yay, it is possible to do it. Well, it pretty much was. I just wasn't sure if I could do it. It's nice to know that it's possible. Now this is really, wow, this covers a lot. I'm gonna look and see what exactly this is, because this is really, compared to some of the other ones, that's covering a lot. And I think it actually is this. So this is the Ice to Never. That's one of the color shifts there. I never liked the regular Vallejo metals, but the metal color airbrush line is very different. I tried a couple of Vallejo airbrush paints, and boy, they didn't. I was kind of freaked out. I was like, man, I thought I was gonna really like this. Actually, my favorite paint, if you're talking regular paint through an airbrush, is just the regular creature caster paints. I mean, those darn things, the last thing I would have expected. So we were doing terrain for Adepticon last year, and I took the regular creature caster metals. I didn't even thin the darn things, shot them through the airbrush, and for a shockingly low PSI for me, and they went right through it. I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. And actually, the whatchamacallit video, the terrain video that I did for the Patreon page, that was the regular pro acryls shot through the airbrush. So I am definitely going to try. Well, what the heck? I might try something like this with these metals here, and see what happens when I shoot them through the airbrush. And then maybe you see something. So instead of what I did with that sort of pre-shading stuff with the paint, maybe I just do that with the airbrush. And some folks will say, well, why are you constantly looking for new things when you have clearly your ways of doing things, and there obviously are, we have lots of commissions, we're always doing those, but why would you find something new? You've got your thing, just keep doing your thing. Well, that sounds fantastic, but there's always going to be some new circumstance that comes along that, well, maybe it's better if you did it a different way. Or, and I've seen this happen too, that boredom factor. If you just keep doing things the same way forever and ever and ever, there's going to come a point where you just don't want to do it the same way again, but that's what you know. Sometimes I've seen so many people just kind of give up on miniatures because they found something that worked for them, but then they never went past that, and then they discovered that, well, it was boring, and it wasn't fun anymore, so then they just stopped painting miniatures, which is a bummer. I mean, that's I hate to see someone who, in many cases, they loved painting miniatures way more than I did, but I don't see them painting anymore. It stopped being fun. It just became, do I really want to sit down and do this? It's not really fun anymore. It's like that for anything. Now here, okay, so I can see, even in my dim light, I can see there's a bit of a line there. So this is where the transparency of the Turbo Dork actually is helpful, because I was able to wipe that out. So good to know that you sort of start out lighter. Yeah, you know what? I might, let's say it's something like I start out with this, and then do all of these subsequent darker layers over the top instead of kind of this dark to light, which is what I've had to do every other time I've done the metals there. This is really different. It's the complete opposite of how I've had to do things. But it's healthy. I mean, it's not always fun, but it is healthy. Now, this is that green here. That is the malum malus, and that's right here. Well, it's probably got some other stuff in it too, but that is becoming my reflected light color here. And here, and we've also, remember, used it on some parts of our bolter here. Also, I'm not going to forget about the more the violet tone that we used for some of our reflected light, but we got to do some here. Oh yeah, on this on his shoe, boot, whatever. Let's get some here too. So I know some of that's a little tough for you to see just by its nature there, but just bear with me. Oh yeah, that's fun. See, I just added a little bit of a light right there. Now I know it's weird, as we've said it before. With you got these metal paints. Why are you trying to make them more metallic looking? it's I just realized that has been my quest for the last, I don't know, hour and something here, is to basically make metal paints look more metallic. Who'd have thought? Oh, let's see what we got. Uh, can you brush on Turbo Dork? Oh, Ling Ling, how's it going? That's actually what I've been doing. All of this is all Turbo Dork Paints, and we put out a bunch of them here. And that's, yeah, well, there's other stuff that I've done where it's like, well, no, you can't use that with a regular brush. I know I've done it with other things, so I would not be surprised if what would you say, the standard wisdom is that no, you don't brush these on, but you can. However, now that you mention that, it makes sense that they're so transparent like this, that maybe more designed for airbrush. So that there's that too. I'm going to mix some of that metal medium in with again, that's that lighter blue. I'm just going to get right here. See these, the vents need a little bit of lightening here. Man, it's been a long time. Geez, when's the last time I just painted a regular Space Marine? And I've painted thousands of Space Marines back in the day, but it's been a while. It has been quite a while. Now, oh, there is speaking of creature caster and metallics, and of course I've already forgotten his name, but he's the giant sort of Shagoth type guy. I was going to do metallics on him too. He's got lots of armor, right? So why not do that? All right, here we're going to do, okay, a little bit of a bright light right there. We're going to do one over here too. Looking for these linear things. So some of it is just the natural light hitting it, but some of it is actually me kind of imposing that shape of a highlight on there, I guess you would say. Are they water based? Oh yeah, they're definitely all acrylic. Cause yeah, water based. Oh, well, there you go, water based acrylic. So this is the very first time I've actually opened these jars. I had not had a chance. It was the Adepticon prep, which of course, well, there's no Adepticon now. Now, of course, if at weird times like this, the Patreon page, when, well, let's just say that thousands of dollars were lost in student fees that aren't going to come. So any sort of Patreon pledge at this point is appreciated. When let's say you do the army painter thing, that's gonna get you, well, actually now closer to 350 hours of tutorials, basing, lighting effects, metallics, non-metallics, oil painting, because hey, love me some oils. I'm on Army Painting Series 17, and that is, we take it all the way from basing straight through to the final details on the miniatures. So some of it's got more freehand than others. I try and it's a different genre each time around. I've done War Cry, 40K, Bolt Action, Lord of the Rings. Well, several Lord of the Rings, and these are armies. They're stuff that I play. And check out the YouTube channel. You see battle reports. You are going to see the armies that I painted, whether they're Lord of the Rings or whatever. I'm working on terrain videos. I basically try to cover as many different things as I can to give you guys as many options as I can, because maybe some of you oils are not an option. Maybe for some of you that's a whole new opportunity. But like I said, just check it out, and you might find something there that interests you. I mean, obviously, Lord of the Rings and Bolt Action, those are the games. If you're looking for the games I play the most, those are the games that I play the most. I've got Ossiarchs that I'm working on for Age of Sigmar. I've got Sisters of Silence, some Custodes to go along with those. The Rubik Marines, because way, way, way back in the day, I did lots of Thousand Suns, and I've been itching to do some more. Just kind of go back to that, and that's what I'm going to do. So here we're doing. I just absent-mindedly started putting in some. So we got the lighting effect here, right? That's not just the lights hitting it, but we're also putting some of that down here. Yeah, and it's not just the lights. And yes, there's nothing I can do to kind of control the lights and the way they interact with the metallic effects. I wish I could. I don't know. Maybe I'll see if I can't Google some kind of a solution for that. Oh, Bethany says never painted a space marine. It's so funny because, well, you've seen me. How many videos have you seen me making over the last while here? And no space marines at all. There was a time where that's all we were painting here, was nothing but space marines. So maybe maybe there was just a bit of marine fatigue, and I just wanted to paint anything except space marines because I painted the heck out of them for many years. And coming back to them now, it's weird just going back to this. And I mean, these parts of a bolter, I've painted this kind of stuff hundreds of times over the years. And it's what is that? The whole it's like getting back up on a bike again. Oh, interested to see the Aussies. Yeah, the Undead Collector 40, but did not feel anything for those. Yeah, the Aussie. I've got the Kratos, and I've got the Cavalry. Oh, really looking forward to them. But I've got enough. I think I actually have two Cavalry units, and it is my hope with the Cavalry units to do one in oils. You know what? I'm going to use this pearlescent stuff here on the end of this bolter, see what the heck happens. But I want to try the Ossiarchs both in acrylics and in oils. I think that could be very fun. Now you know that I've done a couple of the Dark Sword figures, one in acrylics and one in oils. I've never actually done a unit, and either one or both of them or whatever you want to call it. So this is just the regular old transparent red, but I'm going to give a little bit of that metallic stuff in there. Where are we at here? I'm just going to put a little touch of that into the eyes there. The idea is I'm trying to actually have that leak out a little bit over onto the blue surface there. Now I am going to go, this is my super dark blue metallic here. And I'm looking to get separation there. Now go back in, get separation there, and then I'm gonna throw some new metal medium out here because you can see just how much that's been darkened by all of the junk that's mixed into that. What's the other ones that I like? Oh, and these were for my Adepticon classes, the Banshees, right? I don't know if they're part of the Night Haunts, maybe ish, something like that. But those were things that I was prepping again for Adepticon, but they will just be part of my Patreon tutorials now, which should be very fun. Now, what I am going to have to do at some point tomorrow, if I'm going to use these same brushes for my usual non-metallic stuff, I'm going to have to clean these babies out. No doubt about it. But I mean, it was worth it to try them out here and see what they could do. Like I said, you never know until you actually do try it what is possible. What's possible with these? Again, it's every time I use these, they're so new for me. I will find out something that the last time I used them, I had no idea. That's the same for oils. As much as I've used them, I haven't actually used them anywhere near as much as just regular acrylics. So every time I use those, I find something new. So here, I'm just gonna get some work on my design here just a wee bit. So bear with me as I do that. I go back into my opaque here, a little bit of the gold mixed in with that. I'm gonna try and finish off. Yeah, that could be. Now, what if I did something like, yeah, we'll do some kind of a, well, since this is the coronavirus marine, apparently, we'll make this into some kind of a skull up here on the top of this sword. I'm gonna go back into my wings here just a bit. Oh, here's my darker colors again. Just try and draw in some skull-like features. And like I said, there's a lot of things that sometimes I'll just go back in and clean up afterwards because there's only so much you can do in one of these. Now I'm gonna almost, this is darn near almost with no metallic paint. I'm really gonna try and get some real deep darks in a few places here. I feel like that needs some. I'm going to get some separation there. And even here, right in this part of the shoulder pad. But I don't even know if you can see that. I will get a little more of my metal medium, though. Yeah, not looking to lighten it this time, but there we go. So now it's got a little more of a metal look to it. But that is with the true metallic metals. As long as you can get a little bit of that color variation, that the the sort of stuff that's kind of that trademark for the non-metallic metals. But just keep it with the metallic effect. Boom, you got your TMM. Let's get the, again, dark in here. We got the light stuff around it, but now, boom, that's what we needed there. We need some right in here, too. That's good. So I have no idea what this is going to look like in ye old photo booth. We'll find out soon enough. Maybe we'll find out soon enough. This has been massively intriguing for me. And hopefully this just gives you some ideas. Okay, you don't have the creature caster paints. Well, you got regular GW paints, right? Just try it with that. And I know I've mixed the metal medium with the Reaper paints. I'm probably sure I even did it with GW paints at some point. Now here, okay, we need some lighter stuff. We need to basically try and create almost like a reflected light right here. Good, you can see that. Boom, that makes a big difference right there. We are going to lighten that further here. Can you see it? It's right here. Now I'm going to go into my metal medium. I'm going to get rid of some excess. So see, it's the same exact thing I would do. If I was doing this in the metallic paints, I'd be doing the exact same thing. Just a little point right there. That's all it is. Okay, we are going to accentuate a couple of these edges here. Yeah, like so. Now I'm going to, this is where it's going to be interesting. So we're going to take our metal medium here, mix it into some of this, and I'm looking to change this gold around a touch. Trying to make it a bit dark. I'm going to get, actually here, we're going to take our, that's the transparent brown. We're going to mix our metal medium in with that. Now you can see how much lighter that gets. That really changes it around. Yeah, that's what I needed. It was just, what's weird, the gold was just too gold in too many places. Now, this is going to be even crazier. This is more of a non-metallic thing. We're taking some green here, and that's going in the golds. It's not going to register as green at all, but it's something I do all the time when I'm doing my gold non-metallic. All the time. Greens and purples in the golds. So I'm going to, lighten that up. That needs to, that is a kind of a high point around his head. So that's going to, again, a couple of lighter areas there. Now the scope here, will hit that a little more. The thing that I always, it was the knee pads that I'd see on these Primaris guys. And I'll never forget the first time I saw that. After painting, well, all of those hundreds and hundreds of just ordinary Marines, I'm thinking, well, I never saw the round things on their knee. I'd never painted one of those. So that's this is my very first Primaris Marine after hundreds of regular ones. I want another line of lighter tone right in there. Yeah, boom. See, just like that. Just like that. I don't want to kill my reflected light there, but I am interested in getting a little more of my bluish tone there on his feet. So I think I've been relatively successful in somehow importing other things besides just the blue. We've gotten some purple in there, some of the green. Like I said, I've had to turn down my lights a whole bunch. Had to turn down the on the just the camera controls, make some things darker. So this will look a little bit different in the photos. I'll say that right now. Oh, Whitney says I'll be interested. Oh, they have the Aussies. Yeah, it's well, actually, geez, that was the other thing I thought of as well. Maybe try some of the true metallic metals on them too. Well, you know me, I'm always, I don't know, I guess the mad scientist thing or something like that. I'm always looking to try out some kind of wacky new thing somewhere. So this is basically, I mean, it's darn near a pink here that I'm using. But when people look at this, they're not going to look at that and say, wow, look at that pink there. It's just going to register as some different kind of blue shading on there. Actually, while I've got some of this lighter stuff here, let us, oh, I think you can see it here. This is a little bit of marble here. Just follow along just kind of the natural, because I let the paint sort of do its own thing. So see now we got those lighter veins there. Who would have thought there'd be a little bit of a marble demo in here too? It's I try to sneak in as many things as I can because guess what? You have to be multidisciplinarian. You can't just be, well, I know how to do metal. You actually kind of have to know how to do a little bit of object source lighting, a little bit of whatchamacallit there, a little bit of the marble effects. Now I'm going to lighten this up here with, this is just, there's no metallics in this. Going to do the same on the other side of this. Oh, I'm going to try and even out this thing a little bit here. Extend that down. There we go. Didn't really want to outline it too much. There's something that's got to happen there. We're going to go into some of this, some of my metal medium here. So, yeah, I need to get some of the darker stuff going on. So there's some of that darker. We're taking, again, some of the transparent brown. We mix it with that metal medium. And there we go. Now we got that looking a little darker. Oh, we need to do that there too. That is interesting. This particular one of the Turbo Dork blues, that one just tends to cover a bit more than the other ones. And as always, I will not know until I try all of these and in different situations what we'll just say what the things that they work well with, and sometimes things they just don't work so well with. We've learned that unlike all of the other previous stuff I've done with the metals and the TMM, the light to dark thing, well, that's just not going to work. You actually have to think in the other direction. Start lighter, work darker. Surprise, surprise to me. Oh, I think I need in here. Yeah, there is a bit of a sparkliness though, and we noticed this when, like I said earlier, when Kathy was working on her twin. Now she's going to be no tomorrow's. Well, she's doing her podcast tomorrow, the More Than Dice, but during the week, was it Tuesday through Friday? She's streams Kathy More Than Dice. Oh, now of course I'm gonna have to start using OBS because for whatever reason, the same software I'm using right now, XSplit for me, does not work with Twitch. I do have a Twitch channel. It's Wappelius. It's the same as my Instagram handle, and I do suggest checking out the Instagram stuff because I'm gonna get something to drink here. That is where all of my pictures of painted minis go. So again, getting something to drink. Wow, that was needed. Oh my gosh, I may have to even have some more. Because in the well, obviously the post-Adepticon universe of well, who knows when we're going to have any more conventions. Well, I guess the knockoff effect is that well, I can do more of these now, and obviously a lot of the stuff that would have been done for conventions, well, that'll be part of the Patreon page, such and so forth. Yeah, so see, I'm starting to pick up some of those edges now too. Right here, I'm sensing that I actually need to put some of this stuff out here. So this is the absinthe. Another thing I am finding out is that this stuff it'll dry on your wet palette. Now, of course, let's consider here that's the color shift paint. Just consider that this has been out here for a while and that my wet palette is not very wet. So I think I would suggest actually, well, I didn't put a whole bunch of this out here, but smaller doses of the paint because it will dry out on you as I can see. Yeah, we're going back in here. I'm looking to at this point now we start to enter that realm of well, we're starting to refine things. It's the whole point of doing all that nasty ugly stuff early on. You just I know it doesn't look like much and it's in some ways very scary, but if you can sort of get through that stage, it's faster. I'm telling you, it is a faster way to go. You can make more adjustments easily. Oh, let's see. Bethany says the rule is, but the box art, that gets harder with skeletons. This is the other thing too. Is I much like my old Tomb Kings that I loved so much. I was thinking that it could be interesting if instead of painting them as necessarily as bone, what if it was metal? Their skeletons were just metal instead of bone. That could be a fun thing too. I am going to throw some more of my metal medium out here, so just give me a little brief chance to do that. There we go. There we go. Because what I need to do there, that needed to be a little lighter there. Back into that absinthe. That's a fun one there. Work that. I'm just trying to find a few neat areas here where I can really get some brightness with that color, but not lose the fact that there's a shift in color. Like this is more of a green. I need to get a couple of bright edges there. Just again, it's just a little point of light instead of a massive line. So again, point of light there. Certainly here along this edge. I need to do the other side too. So again, dip it into the old metal medium. Sort of like mithril silver, but it just does way more than mithril silver did. I'm going to pick up a couple of highlights there. Now, let's, I don't, because people, I think they've actually asked, so is the non-metallic faster, slower, the metals faster? To me, this is way slower. Now, of course, it's just because I haven't really found the best advantages of this yet, really. But if you're asking me, I could probably have done 1.5 of these guys in the same time it took me to do this in the non-metallic metal form. Well, that's because I've painted thousands of these guys in non-metallic and exactly one in metallics. So there's that. A little more here. Let's see what I can do here. I'm going to get some of my orange and red together here. This is for little diodes here, the little targeting sensors. Again, back into the fluorescent orange there. Let some of that get back into his eyes. So yeah, I mean, we did some. Oh, okay, let's do that over here. Kind of forgot about this side. Let's get ourselves something on these purity seals here on the back. So yeah, we'll hit the red there. We're going to take our mix of transparent black and transparent brown. And let's get ourselves a bit of scrollwork. That tough balance there of how much water helps the paint to flow versus, well, just kind of making a watery mess across the entire thing. But these are not solid lines. It's broken up here. It's a light touch. And it's more of a, you just kind of have to feel your way through it. There's really no precise way other than, well, sometimes just try and fail. And yeah, I'm going to just go here so I can fill that in. We're going to do some, try and get in some dark lines here too. Separate a couple of things. Let's do that here. I'm going to actually, now this is where I've got my really dark metallic blue. And I'm going to hit a few areas there to make them dark. We're going to do that same thing here on his knee pads. Just as if I was doing the non-metallic metal stuff. It's basically the same idea. It's just with metallic paints this time. And as it was mentioned before, as we do, okay, add things like these regular paint colors to it, it does take away some of the shininess, which in shadow areas is that such a horrible thing. Why would it be so sparkly in a shadow area? So yeah, that's more reflected light there. And that's the chief difference when you're just like, okay, what's the one thing that's different about the TMM versus the regular non-metallic metals? That's your thing, is that you are painting in those same sort of reflected lights that you're normally only going to see, that you normally ever see only in the non-metallic effect. There was a couple of Song of Ice and Fire units that I wanted to do I think it was the Starks that I wanted to do the TMM with, but we'll see if we can't find ourselves some AOS things, maybe some Warcry things. Certainly I got some 40k things that I can do that on. Maybe the Custodes, I do those in the TMM also. Maybe do the Sisters of Silence in the regular non-metallic metals. I'm gonna go back to that really fun Malum Melis, or what the heck is that called? Here it is. Malum Malus. Okay, so I guess I was right. I'm just gonna I'm looking to do this reflected light here a bit more, all the way down to his feet there. But I liked that other blue as an additional little light that goes right through here. This is something I would definitely be doing with if this was non-metallics, I'd certainly be doing that. See, and now this is where I can start to add more of those. So the more of these little kind of striations that you add in, these almost, well, like sort of like stripes, the more of these that you add in there, that's kind of where you start to get more of the non-metallic metal effect. It's just basically more things reflecting on his legs. And so we're going for that right here. Going for that right over here too. And now good. I still got my magenta over here, because I am looking to get some more reflected light down here. And I'd certainly love to, boy, I'd like to work that into the interior right there. Yeah, that's so you have a whole series of these lines, and the idea is because of the shape of the armor, that is why you're going to get just a whole series of lines like that. It's hard to explain. I'm sure someone who knows the physics of light could probably explain that even better than I am here. My way too exhausted brain can't describe that at the moment. Let's see if I can't thin that down just a bit. So that's actually one of the color shift paints that I'm using. I actually take some of my turquoise color and mix that into so you can really see it here, right in there. So again, that's more of our turquoise up there. Then we get into that straight up blue, the Cool Ranch blue, but then we start to get into that. This is the color, that more of a magenta type of a color here. And sometimes it is augmented by just a bit of the metal medium. So I'm going to go back to the Cool Ranch color here, which all of a sudden is starting to make me hungry, because I'm starting to think of ranch flavored potato chips. And because, well, what did we learn? It's the very first thing I learned, boy, straight away, was that this kind of works pretty well as sort of a glazing situation, and that's what I'm starting to do. I'm starting to go back in here and glaze some things. Not so much in the quest to darken those, but to bring back a touch of that sort of main color. It's hard to believe that that was the main color when we first started this, that whole ranch flavor. We've added many flavors since. A lot of flavors since then. And now I guess too, the more of the layers of transparency and such, they'll sort of shine through, right? So that thinking of the Turbo Dork paints in more of a, instead of a layer by layer lightening them, think of them as layer by layer darkening. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm basically going back in here. It's that dry glaze that I always talk about, because there's no water in this, but because the paint just by itself is so, what would you say, it's so translucent that I don't actually need water to make it glaze. It glazes very effectively, basically at 100% opacity, which is kind of interesting. It's not unusual. I've done that before. It all depends on the property of the paint that you are using. Now, in this area here, I am looking to get a bit of a lighter single right there. Yeah, that was getting to be a little bit on the dark side. I can always then add, like I said, some of the metal medium in there. That becomes my highlight color, I guess, if you would call it that. Now I'm gonna, actually, I want to get some of the seafoam green in there too. Evil Elvis. Oh, Engineer to Draw is in the house. So yeah, it's got to be, well, 9:32 in the morning for you. The Malum Malice was an apple from an old tree in the New Adventures of Sabrina the Teenage Witch. And Ben said last it was Cheetos. Oh, Cheetos. Oh, if you're wondering what Cheetos are, here you go. So this was a previous video here, and there's the Cheeto right there. Watch this video. It's a creature caster. The one of their new releases. I think it was back in October or something like that. Yeah, that was the Cheeto. That was the gigantic Cheeto that we painted. But one can never forget the Cheeto. Oh, that's it. That's the one. That's the big old Cheeto. Oh, and there's, hmm, let's just say there could be eventually some interesting developments in fluorescent paints for me. We'll leave it at that. It hopefully will become apparent over time, and that I might actually have, I don't want to say my own fluorescent paint, but just some fluorescent paints made for me. We'll say that. We'll go that far. And it could be very interesting. So yeah, just trying to, we got some greenish effects. Some of the blues are a little bit more red. Some of the blue has more green in it. Because, why not? Oh, you can't really see what I'm doing here, but I'm just trying to, this little skull here that we put in for our Corona Marine. And yes, that's some gallows humor right there. Mostly because, well, those of us that were supposed to be doing Adepticon who will not be doing that, and I don't know what's happening with my other conventions. I was supposed to do Little Wars in April. I don't really I can't even speculate about something like that. I have no inside information at all on those type of things. All I know is that, well, I think I'm going to be spending a whole lot more time just in the studio than I expected I would be doing over the course of this year. Which, well, that means I can do more of the things, more of those terrain videos, more stuff like this where I try just bizarro new stuff for the first time ever. Waste not, want not. There is time, which is always a precious commodity, so why not use it? So that's starting to develop in a way that I like there too. Oh, what else? Yeah, yeah. Along here, I'm trying to. This needs to either be. It's got to go lighter or darker, one way or the other. We're gonna start out with the lighter. Where are we at? I just want to make sure you can see it. One way or the other. Got to be either lighter or darker. So that, yeah, we can go with some of the lighter there. Oh, let's see. I hope they ship to Japan. Well, I'll ask Peter about that. I know. Well, they have had really bad luck with container ships. Let's just call it that. They've been sending stuff far and wide, and it either ends up being disappeared on them somehow nefariously, or it just, yeah. There's been some weird things that have happened to them with sending paints around the world. That's for sure. Well, and I guess the miniatures too probably qualify as that. Oh, Ben says, on your recommendation, been trying to get some. I think I found one that shipped to me with the Green Stuff World. Oh, the Green Stuff World metallics. Those were the ones I used in the Necrons. Yeah, so you'll be fine with those. I really liked those. Those worked really well. I mean, obviously we used the metal medium there too, but oh yeah, those were. That's what kind of fooled me on these, because I was thinking they would be like the Green Stuff World ones, where it was very much the dark over light. Much to my surprise, we done got the opposite here. It's like, whoa, okay, that's different. Here, let's pick up an edge on this. Okay, I got a little bit of the metal medium in there, so that sort of helps. Well, I can really now, this is interesting because I'm always doing the non metallic stuff. Usually, things like this, texture wise, don't really look all that different than what's around it. But man, now that I've got all the metal around that thing, it really looks different. I mean, the average person's probably looking at that saying, well, yeah, of course. But again, this is someone who just doesn't get to do the metallics all the time. Well, hardly ever. So just let me enjoy that moment of discovery. Oh, you know what? We will do. I think we're just going to enhance it a little bit more. Maybe don't need to actually enhance it that much, but what the heck? I'm going to do it. And I'm also going to get me some more of the magenta down in here. As again, some more of that sort of reflected light. That's where the metallics becomes TMM, is by virtue of that. And also keep in mind, I'm virtually doing this in the dark because, well, all of my lights are, my most important light is turned off because it makes too many reflections. I mean, as it is, even without that light turned on, it generates a bunch of reflections. So here, I'm going to take a little bit of that's more of the color shift purple that's getting mixed in there. So that sort of darkens it down. And yeah, let's get Let's see if I can't carry that up in here. We need some of that. Oh, yeah. We need some of that in here, too. Before I forget, because we got it on this side. I remembered over there. Somehow over here, got distracted and forgot about that. So we've got color shift paints on here. We got a whole bunch of stuff happening. Depending on which way I hold this thing, this turns gold now. Then you hold it another way, and then it's just black, and then some parts of it are more green. So I guess we've sort of created some de facto color shift phenomenon here on this little guy. Haha, this also, yeah. So we're lacking a little bit of reflectivity right down in there. I'm going to use my metal medium. Couple of points there, yeah, on the respirator. Some highlights on that. Handy. This too needs. I'm gonna do all that kind of stuff elsewhere, and I think you'll see what I mean right there. Yep, that was missing. We will do that on the other side. It's something I've done a bunch of times on my Sky Earth non-metallic stuff, and we double down on that with a little touch of that metal medium to lighten it there. So that worked out the way I wanted it to. Actually going to. That's so funny. That doesn't even look like the turquoise anymore. Okay, so now we've got ourselves a little bit more of a metal look to that. Now we've got this, we got a gold thing going on over here. How are we going to make that? Yeah, so again, changing the color there, so it's not just gold. I know that was it 10 bits and then shining gold or whatever, the usual thing. We have not done the usual thing on this, that's for sure. It has not been the usual thing. Oh, we got Mega Hamp Store, Turbo Dork. Oh gosh, someone else will probably know more about how long they've been around. I want to say they've certainly been around since last year. I would say I just hadn't actually had a chance to try them before. So others have been trying them before me. This is me trying them for the very first time. And you can go back to the beginning and watch this. The thing that I learned really fast and like two brushstrokes in is that these are the opposite of, say, the Green Stuff World uh, metallic paints, which cover really well. These are almost meant to work light to dark, where you're almost better glazing with them and making them darker than you are going the other way around. That was just something I learned, and I went, oof. And it took no time at all to learn that. Of course, some folks they're actually surprised I'm just using a brush and not an airbrush with them. So maybe they are intended to be more of an airbrush type of a thing. I don't know. I mean, it's not like I couldn't try and shoot them through an airbrush, but I wanted to see what was going to happen with this. And well, I don't really painting with the airbrush is not really so much of a thing for me. Oh, and Neil Basher. Hopefully, the collective madness will end soon. That has kind of been that's been the most disappointing thing about this whole situation. But I have to do say that there have been a whole bunch of folks already that were real generous in many different ways. Now, there's been some of my patrons, they either upped their pledges or did something along those lines, and that is very appreciated. I just want to mention those guys here. Well, I've thanked them in person, but that needs to be extolled also in public. But there's been lots of different groups that have kind of gotten together and on Facebook and sort of started some basically support creators type of movements on Facebook, which is nice because Facebook is not always the happiest place to be. So that's I want to thank people for that have been basically allowing maybe creators to put links to their different personal or business sites that maybe otherwise are not allowed. So that's also appreciated. And then too, well, and this is I don't know, maybe this is where I've told this in different like interviews and stuff, but well, basically about 20 years ago, when the 9/11 thing happened, Kathy and I, we were both 2D artists. We had maybe fooled around painting a couple of miniatures. That's it. And then our biggest show of the year was Celtic Fest, much like Adepticon is our biggest show of the year. When that was canceled, 20% of our income was gone right away. And much like now, the knockoff effects of that, the anthrax scare, everything else, well, the rest of the conventions too, they either canceled or nobody would show up because they were too afraid to fly or too afraid to travel. So our whole 2D art business was gone. It disappeared. And that is actually what made us miniature painters. It's kind of weird 20 years later to sort of come back full circle to that again. I was kind of hoping that was one circle we could avoid, but apparently not. But I suppose the difference is, well, social media giveth and taketh away. And in this case, social media is actually being used for the forces of good, which is nice. Have I tried Mega Hamster X? If I had tried the Vallejo metal color, I'm looking for it. It should be out here somewhere. Oh, where did you go? This is the metal medium that I've used for years, and I love this. And actually, I have whole entire videos based on this stuff. Lately, I've been given the Pro Acryl version of the metal medium. I tried. That's what's sitting over here, where my finger is there, and it's basically serving as well. It's tantamount to a white. Green Stuff World makes a version of it, and even actually Turbo Dork has sort of their version of the metal medium. There was someone else that also has that too, basically their version of the metal medium. And I'm sure there's more that I don't even know about. I'm sure there are. Oh, I need to get some bright points also on these vents, so just bear with me while I do that. So as I look at this, I think you can see the transitions that happen as I move that around. And like I say, yeah, go to the Instagram. There's the Fileman Instagram. That is where the finished pictures of this they're going to be posted. Just like all of the other things that I do on the YouTube lives and the Patreon series and everything else. Those all eventually end up on the Instagram. I will try to do what is that? The IGTV stuff. Good grief, between Twitch and this and that and the other thing, there's I don't know, they could cancel conventions for the next 3 years and I still couldn't get caught up on all the things I'm trying to test out here. But I mean, since we're in this kind of new era of who knows when conventions will be happening again. I mean, I do these normally twice a week anyway. Who knows? I might try doing some Facebook Lives. Obviously, maybe for the folks that are closer to home here, because it is 4:56 in the morning here. So I think some of those folks might want to maybe see some things at a more friendly hour of the day for them. So we'll give that a try. I'm looking to do, oh, right here. Yes, that's what was missing. The same thing we did up here on the helmet. That is happening now on the knee pads here with a little bit of the metal medium mixed in. Yeah, that's the truth though, right? That definitely is. I was kind of hoping that something like this could be a little bit of I don't know, just a distraction from, because pretty much for many, many days here, we're going to be seeing the same cycle of unhappy things. And I'm hoping that maybe here this can just be the zone where we kind of just discover new stuff like this, and maybe we do some old favorites. And there's going to be, I can tell you now, there are going to be more Lord of the Rings figures there because, well, I've got armies to play, battle reports to do, and yes, I'm working on another battle report. It was just me. Actually, it was a teaching game where I was teaching a friend how to play. But we did take some pictures, and the pictures look really neat. So I will try and create a battle report around that for you guys, and hopefully that's fun. The pictures look pretty darn neat. We will be doing some more of those because hey, no Adepticon. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of different things that I will try to do to, I don't know, hopefully make your everyday experience a little more less stressful maybe. And who knows, if we all have more painting time, maybe you just can paint along while I'm doing these. Because, well, I mean, I got painting to do. Doesn't matter what's going on in the rest of the world. I got me painting to do. So I'm going to keep going with all that. I am going to see. So this again, this is transparent blue, transparent black. That's from Creature Caster. We are taking the metal medium here. We mix it in. We try to be careful not to mix too much in there. But what we got right now is a really, really, really dark blue metallic color. And that's going to go right into here. And I'm talking about always having those striations like that. We just made another one here. This is exactly the kind of stuff I'd be doing with my non-metallic metal techniques. Same exact stuff. Now Ben is happy to live in Wappelville. Yes, well, I mean, really, we were thinking that Wappelville should sort of expand. I mean, we start with this planet and then we kind of move on to the other ones, and I mean, eventually, other universes too, because I mean, hey, those universes need stuff like this. More painting, more better in all universes. This universe also needs some more reflected light. And I'm just dirtying this up with that crazy green, the malum malice there. I don't even know if you can see that, but it's going to go right there. And we're going to reflect some of that over here too. So yeah, there's only like 40 different Turbo Dork paints of various metallic colors, and what are we basically doing here? We're just like mixing a whole ton of new ones because, I mean, why not? And I'm actually going to let that other blue mix into that. So we're sort of reflecting the reflection, another characteristic of the non-metallic stuff, but it can be done. What we got? Ben says, support your vision of intergalactic domination through OSO and NMM. Yes, indeed. Now, of course, faded ultramarine blue. I mean, that's like dominates everything. I mean, was it laws of gravity and all that kind of stuff? Pfft, faded ultramarine cares not for laws of physics and nature and everything else. it does whatever it feels it needs to do. So this is more of our reflected light going down in here. So see, we got there, and now we've got this right here. But this, we are going to take some of that sort of magenta-ish type color. We're going to get right under here and drop some of that there too. Is it possible? You know what? We're going to be crazy, and we're going to have one little strip of that right over here. Can you see that? I hope you can. Come on. Yep. So look what we got here. We've got ourselves that sort of turquoise, like here, the caracal, and then there's the pinkish stripe right next to it. That's the kind of thing I've been looking for while we're doing this. Let's see if we cannot do that right along here. And there we go. Now the metal medium definitely makes a difference. So see what we got here. We've got some softer. There are all a bunch of these lines here, right? But these are more softer transition. This one's a bit of a harder transition there. So maybe that's some kind of a light or something like that that is shining right there. I will, because I've got one that I was doing over here too. It's just going to look like a light, shiny color to you now, but trust me, yeah, that's handy there. Now this, you will not really be able to see what's happening back there. It's all just sort of dark. I just put that over the top of that to tone it down a bit. Now here, I like this blue. Aha, that's better right there. I'm gonna put some of this same lighter blue into this area. Reflected light, yeah, see we need, oh geez, we need some down in there too. That's got actually some of the purple in it again. So there's some over there, and now this just is missing. Needed some light right there and some separation there. We're going to go into maybe this blue. Hope you can see what the plan is here as we just did some of that. Actually gonna let it mix into the metal medium at that point. So this thing, boy, I'm gonna have to get that turnstile working, or my turntable, because as I spin this around, I'm really starting to see yeah, it is, well, it's 5:04 a.m. How is that? How did that happen? Now, like I said, I got a later start on this than originally was intended because, well, my late evening started by me basically falling out of my chair as I fell asleep, working on Photoshop images. So that was a sudden wake-up call, and needless to say, I kind of had to shake out the cobwebs. So if I've made some weird statements here, well, I pretty much always do. I blame it on the falling out of the chair, being asleep. That's my story. This, as much as I think I've got transitions here, we're gonna take some of this here. I'm just gonna try and get a few more touches going on this guy before we collapse. But it needs, this is what it needs. That's what it needs. I knew there was something in here that I normally do when I'm doing my non-metallic metal stuff that just wasn't here in TMM form, and now we're doing it. I hope you can see that. For lack of a better term, I'm reflecting the reflection again. It's like this is reflecting on this. Now that I see that, Okay, this has to be lighter. I know you're just seeing a big old blazing highlight there, but woof, now that's much brighter. That's the metal medium there. Because if you're going to do reflections, a couple of things, they need to be a little bit darker than the original thing they are reflecting. Oh gosh, I remember back in the day when I was 12 years old painting landscapes, and that was drilled into my head. But yeah, you want your reflection to be somewhat dimmer than, and like I said, more grayed down than the original light source, or source of the reflection, I guess we'll go there. Okay, so yeah, I really do appreciate everybody watching this here. Now, if you want to see more of these, because hey, there's more of them coming now. There's gonna be plenty of time for more of these. You do the subscribe thing, and do the all notifications bell, because well, I just did that today, forgot to hit it, so I will not probably get the notification that I seek the next time that person does another video. So yeah, don't be like me, and be like me and try new things, but don't be like me and forget to hit the subscriber bell. That's the not me. You want to don't follow. But yeah, do that. And if you can drop a like on this, that never hurts either. I mean, for whatever reason, YouTube likes, whatever. It's all good. And I will catch you as soon as I can on the next one. But yeah, check it out. Instagram, I will be having sort of the finished pictures of this guy right here. My very first experiment with, well, Primaris Marines and Z Turbo Dork Paints. So I'll catch you guys later. Oh, hey, Wargamer Online. Sorry that I'm about to head out, but don't forget to click on this from the beginning. This was a lot of fun, and there'll be more of these guys. There will be more soon. So thanks a lot, guys, and I'll catch you next time.